Okay, welcome back. In the last video we stopped here and I asked you to try to clean up all of these really bad shading issues on your own. This is a very good practice problem to just get used to fixing geo and shading issues and just making things look cleaner. So hopefully you got somewhere. If you didn't fully get it, that's completely fine. It just takes a lot of practice and you'll get there eventually the more you do these things. But I'm just going to kind of show you what I would do, just my thought process. So I always like to merge the near-miss verts like this. Move that one a little bit. Let's slide that one. Now this artifact here is basically caused by the fact that this vertex is intersecting with where the bevel is occurring. You can see the bevel. So we just need to move this vertex outside the threshold, the realm of this bevel. So watch, right when it gets outside the bevel, fixed. That's all you have to do usually. Let's slide this one over here. We can just terminate that vertex there. Slide this and slide this. And you know, these tries and endgons here and there don't cause any shading issues, or any significant ones at least. And if they do, you just come in here, you press the J key to just join areas, and you know, just basically constrain those shading issues so they don't occur anymore. And you know, once you build the intuition just for how geo works and where to move things, it really just becomes something that you see naturally. Now, you're not going to be able to just see, if you're a beginner, you're not going to be able to just see what to connect up off of one course or one example. This takes a lot of practice and a lot of time. But my goal here is to show you the best practices and kind of how to get into that mindset. So if things are making sense now, then hopefully you'll be able to do most of this on your own in the future. But yeah, really, if I undo this, you can see if you have like massive shading issues like this, usually it just comes down to basically just joining things together and constraining those issues, you know, just making them tighter. So you can usually do that by just joining vertices with the J key and, you know, just filling in the appropriate areas. By the way, if you have two triangles to form a quad, you can select both faces and press F. You can just see that those shading issues just basically get eradicated just by a few simple steps. So like we did before, we don't really have to go past the second half because, you know, we're just going to symmetrize it so we don't have to do it again. So slide that, slide that. You know, these look very scary until you actually look at the geo and realize, oh, it's easy. I just slide this and I slide this and it's fixed. That's what I absolutely love about these types of problems, is they're not hard to fix. People just have to know what to look for. I'm going to make this a little bit cleaner. You can see the shadings like uneven almost, so maybe what we could do is select these, J key to join that. I'm going to actually dissolve this edge with Control X, and let's see, what else could we do here just to make that a little bit nicer on us. Slide? No, I won't slide that down. This is where it really becomes a problem-solving issue more than anything. Let's try joining these two vertices with the J key and Control X to dissolve that one. You can see just moving one edge over makes it look a lot better. Look at that. We'll join this and then Control X to dissolve that. And you can see we have a slight overshoot here, which can be solved by just moving this vertex until that edge is away from it. Much better. This one isn't looking the happiest. I'm just going to move it a bit. And it's still pretty jagged, so all we have to do is increase the auto smooth angle until that catches. So at a steep angle you can see some clear shading issues. Let's try to constrain those a bit more. Let's try joining these two vertices with the J key. You can see that's a lot more constrained and looks a lot better. We'll join these with the J key, slide those down and around. It's not too bad. Maybe we'll do one more here. Join those and slide, and you can kind of see we're giving ourselves a little border going around here, constraining all of those shading issues a lot better. Look at that, very clean. And you know, there are more advanced topics such as working with data transfers and things like that. There's not really a need to get into that into this course, just because most things can be easily fixed before we get into those crazy topics. I don't even use those advanced methods that much, just because manually fixing things is just usually a lot easier. Now let's try, this isn't bad, it's just stretched, right? It doesn't look very good in the topology. So sometimes I just like to clean that up just because I like a good looking geo. So maybe we could join these two vertices here and tab into face mode, turn this into a quad by pressing F, and then maybe we'll do the same thing here. Let's join that and then just slide over a bit. F to turn that into a quad. I just think that looks a little bit cleaner, just my opinion. Maybe, actually no, this is probably fine, to be honest. I don't think there's a need to go too far. Now one thing I would definitely recommend you do is to go to Edit and then Preferences, and under Add-ons search for Loop Tools, L-O-O-P, turn on the Loop Tools option, make sure that's on. And what you can actually do is make things smoother, like more of a smooth transition. You can kind of see these are jagged as they go down. So what I like to do is just control click a set of vertices, right click, go to Loop Tools, and then click on Relax. You can do Relax. I think Space works sometimes. I think Relax is better. And that just kind of makes it a little bit more spaced out and clean. We'll do the same thing here. We can relax those. And that just kind of makes it a little bit more even. You can see the shading isn't that bad. Slide those down. Cool, so let's take a look down here. This is the only part left to fix. This is where it gets kind of tight in here. We'll just slide a few of these, and then for the rest of them we can just move out this way away from the bevel. And we also need to increase the auto smooth angle just a bit, and we should be fine. Cool, so at this point all we need to do is symmetrize to the other side. So same idea, Control A to apply the rotation so we don't have to guess which axis. We know it's going to be the Y. Tab into edit mode, select everything with the A key, F3 to open the search menu, then we can search for symmetrize here. And same one, negative Y to positive Y. It might be the other way around for you. Let's see. Which one is the correct one? There's that, and there is this. Is it this one? No, I think it's the other one. Okay, there we go. That looks good to me. Now we'll just go back into our main view and see how that looks. Very nice. Now there is just a little bit more shading that kind of got weird as a result of the symmetry, but we can just slide that up to fix it. Cool. So check this out. Now we have a grip down here. It looks really good, and all those shading issues have been cleaned up. If you really want to zoom in and get picky, you can go close enough, and you might find something like super tiny to fix. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be rendering this close, right? We're going to be rendering from a distance. It doesn't matter that much. Plus, we can still get really close anyways before we see any real issues. So even if we rendered this close up, it still looks good. So no need to stress and get into the crazy technicalities. People tend to overreact about how clean you need to make the geo in the corners. It simply doesn't matter if the shading looks good. Cool, so now we have a pretty decent looking grip. I'm happy with it. Looks pretty decent, and if we ever wanted to make changes, we do have that thing in the backup, but I'm pretty happy with how that looks for now.